Today, we're looking at the king of guitars. This is the Majesty. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a very good day today. In the studio is a guitar I've wanted to demo on this channel for years. This is the Sterling Majesty. And if you're not familiar with the Majesty, it is John Petrucci's signature model. Now, of course, the Music Man version is insanely expensive. It's a very, very high-end guitar. So we're going to see if the Sterling version, which is much more affordable, has any big compromises made in terms of the construction, in terms of the playability, in terms of the tone. So let's get into it and find out what this guitar is all about. Right, so let's go ahead and hit up some of the highlights on the Majesty just so we know what we're dealing with before I plug it in and take a listen to some tones. Now, it should be noted, and longtime viewers of the channel will know, I am a huge Music Man fan. Whether it's an actual Music Man or a Sterling, these guitars just seem to work. And that comes down to what I think is one of the best designs ever made. These guitars just work. So we'll see if the Majesty joins that company. But yeah, I had a Sterling JP. It was one of the really early JP models. Loved that guitar. So yeah, it'll be interesting for me to play the Majesty version of that for the first time here. So let's hit up some of the highlights. Now, we've got locking tuners on the headstock. These are unbranded. They seem to work okay. I think this is probably one of the areas where they saved some money over the, actual Music Man version. Yeah, we've got the 4+2 Music Man, straight string pull through the nut, almost no tilt back, no string trees. That's part of that great design that I talked about. The nut just seems to be plastic. It's cut really nice. And of course, we've got all these shield inlays, which is, a hallmark of those John Petrucci models. Let's take a few shots for you guys here. Now, moving on to the neck, we've got stainless steel frets. That's a really nice high-end feature on this guitar. So that means you get one of these, you don't have to worry about frets wearing down right away. You can just start using it and playing it hours every day and not worry about it. That's nice. Rosewood fingerboard. The guitar is made of NATO, which is, I think, a native species that's similar to mahogany. It's made in Indonesia, so I'm assuming that's probably why they used that wood. It is very lightweight. We'll throw it on the scale at the end when we talk about overall construction. I'll also take off all the cavity covers and we'll take a look inside as well. Now, as for the front face of the guitar, this is the spalted maple version, which does give some really nice and interesting grain to the front of the guitar. It's also in that blood orange finish, which I think is really attractive. And then it kind of bursts, to a deeper finish on the back. Glue-in neck joint, great access there, 24 frets on this model, and it looks to be a 3-piece body. And you can see the grain of that NATO really does look like, mahogany. So I think it's a subspecies of mahogany of some sort. So there we go. Now, in terms of not compromising versus, Music Man and Sterling, we got the stainless steel frets. We also have the actual DiMarzio pickups, which is awesome. So Liquid Fire Crunch Lab 2-point trem. It's inset into the body so you can float it. Well, it comes floating, obviously, so you can bend up. Really nice. Volume tone 3-way switch. Now, this is a pretty small toggle on there, but if you've ever played a Strat, I think we all have, and you're playing something with a good rhythm part. Well, if you're in the neck pickup, you accidentally hit that selector. It's so close, and you end up in position 4, 3, or 2, just depending on how much you're strumming. This you have to be very intentional to hit. So I think that's why probably John has that, so you can play and then just quickly do that, and there's no accidentally hitting it when you're giving it. The other thing that's no compromise is the push-push version. So we've got a boost in here. So you might have noticed there's a battery pack. These are not active pickups, but we have active circuitry that boosts the signal when you push-push. So we'll definitely try that out, and then a tone. So those are a few highlights of the Sterling Majesty. Of course, I'll link to it in the video description below for full specs. Let's plug this thing in and see what it sounds like. Nice and smooth in that neck pickup. I'm going to try the 20 dB boost and play kind of something similar. And I'll just kick it on and off here. Yeah, big difference in terms of like how it drives the amp, how it saturates, and that's just in the neck pickup. All right, you guys, as promised, let's look inside the cavity covers. Now, I've removed the screws, but I have not looked inside, so let's go ahead and do that together. So let's look in the trem cavity here. There we go. And I'm gonna just take this cavity off while we're kind of doing it at the same time, so as I lift it up, it doesn't fall out. Okay, so now in terms of the trem, no big surprises there. Almost every guitar has a very similar setup, nice thick block there. The routing looks good, nice and clean as well. So that's a look at the trem there. Let's look at the cavity cover. I'm going to look at it for the first time with you guys too, kind of just into my monitor. It's got some shielding paint in there. That's good. And then of course we've got our active circuitry that comes from here and goes to the push-push, which is this one right here. So yeah, some interesting electronics. I did notice the pots here is small, so maybe this again is one of the areas where the Sterling version saves over the Music Man version. I would have assumed that these pots would have been full size, but they're not. They're smaller sized pots. The wiring looks very neat and tidy. The routing looks good as well. So there you go. So I'd say the most notable thing is, yeah, we've got small pots on there. Now they could last forever. You know, I've played many guitars and I own many guitars with small sized pots and I've never had a problem. But this is, you know, a fairly high-end guitar. So I would assume that it would have had full-sized pots. But there you go. Again, that might be one of the areas, nice shielding on the back there too, where some money is saved. And yeah, there you go. That's just a look inside. Everything looks neat and tidy, so that's great. So here are my final thoughts on the Sterling Majesty. Now, the first thing I want to say is the Music Man version of this guitar is insanely expensive. Starts somewhere around $4,000 all the way up to $6,500. It's insanely expensive. So I think a lot of people looking for a Majesty are probably wondering, you know, how the Sterling model, you know, holds up. Is it, you know, a good Music Man guitar? What does it sound like? All that stuff, playability, ergonomics. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, what are the areas where they were able to save some money? Well, number one, obviously made overseas, made in Indonesia. That's a huge money saver. As I mentioned, locking tuners work well. They look good and stuff, but they are unbranded. So again, that's some savings there. Using a native species of wood, you know, that's close by to Indonesia. That's some savings. I should mention while we're talking about the wood, this guitar is so light. I put it on the scale, 6.2 pounds. That is insanely light, you know, for a wooden guitar. No composite materials or anything like that. All wooden, 6.2 pounds. That is insane. So it's very, very light, which is nice. And yeah, in terms of other areas where they save, they used some laminations in the body that you probably wouldn't have in the Music Man version, that kind of stuff. But where it counts is stainless steel frets, actual DiMarzio pickups, no, you know, sterling version of those pickups. You get the actual DiMarzios, you get the boost circuitry, very important, and a 2-point trem that just works. And again, that comes down to that Music Man design. So I think where it counts, yes, it plays really nice. It's ergonomic, it's light, it's modern looking, it sounds really good. So I think Sterling got those elements right, which I think is really important. Thanks so much for watching and being a part of the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. Other than that, all the gear I used in this video, I will link to down in the video description below, including the Majesty. Other than that, have yourself a great week. Take care.